There was work in the mid-1990s based on pattern matching between climate models and climate observations, showing that the patterns matched only when you accounted for the human influence of increasing greenhouse gases. That was sort of the primary basis for the consensus that emerged in the mid-1990s that human-caused climate change was here, it was detectable. But our work that led to the so-called hockey stick, a curve that showed that this modern warming spike was unprecedented over the past 1,000 years, I think was a more visual depiction of how unusual the changes we're seeing right now in the climate really are. Now, if you look at that curve, what it shows is that the modern warming spike is unprecedented as far back as we could go, 1,000 years in our 1990s studies. But there were some temperature changes along the way, and there was a period of about 1,000 years ago where temperatures over the northern hemisphere were relatively warm, and then temperatures cool as you slowly descend into what's sometimes called the Little Ice Age of sort of the 1300s through the 1800s. And so you have this long-term cooling from the medieval climate period into the Little Ice Age of the 17th, 18th, and 19th century, followed by this abrupt spike, which takes you outside of the range of any of that previous variation. Now, when it comes to the medieval period, it used to be widely claimed that global temperatures were warmer then than they are today. The evidence that we have now does not bear that out. But what it shows is that there are some regions where temperatures were quite a bit warmer. The pattern of warming and cooling around the globe isn't uniform. There is a lot of sort of redistribution of heat around the globe associated with changing ocean currents, associated with changing atmospheric wind patterns. And so when you look back in time, there's a very complex, regionally diverse pattern of temperature changes. And what we find is that in certain regions in the North Atlantic and parts of Greenland, during the height of the sort of medieval climate period, may have been almost as warm as conditions today, if not even warmer, within the uncertainties perhaps even warmer. But most of the globe was substantially cooler. And when you average over the globe or over the northern hemisphere, what you find was that temperatures then are not nearly as high as they are today, because what's different is the sort of coherent pattern of the warming. The warming period we're seeing now isn't just a patchwork of warming in some regions interspersed with cooling in others. Essentially, the entire globe is warming up in unison, and we don't see that in the past record.